this vehicle does go through a hell of a lot of fuel. What's going on here? Learners aren't allowed on the motorway, you should know that. I am driving a Land Rover Freelander 1 TD4. That's with the BMW M47 diesel engine. I am delivering this car back to its rightful owner, a man called Reverend Boaty, and you could call this an extended test drive, I suppose. It's a rather agricultural vehicle with its rough edges smoothed out and made to look quite cute and pretty. And because of that, you certainly do notice quite a few differences between this car and any of the other cars that were made for the same purpose, and that purpose being off-road capabilities whilst driving on the tar. Like indeed the Discovery 1 and 2, not particularly, but not the best road manners, but lots of talent when it comes to doing other things. The trouble with these Freelanders, of course, is that they get kind of permanently stuck in four-wheel drive, and that's why the prop shaft is often removed on these. So they're just front-wheel drive because that's all that's needed nearly all of the time, and then they drive better, and they're better on fuel. This one does indeed still have its prop shaft and does drive a bit like it's trying to go two different speeds at once. It has this constant lurching feel at the go. Honestly, it's like doing that all the time. Well, on the motorway for sure. That's where I am. Should I say something positive about this car? Yes, okay. Well, I love the style of it. I really like the interior. I like the very high driving position. I mean, it is surprisingly high. And when you look over that lovely clamshell bonnet, it feels like something a bit special. This is a particularly tidy example of one of these as well. There are no noises knocking about. Yet, I just don't particularly like the way it drives. There's nothing, well, I would say there's nothing wrong with the way it drives, but no, that's incorrect. There is something wrong with the way it drives. It may be straight, it drives straight, easily. Motorway speeds, all fine. It's just this constant feeling that you're on a mattress. And what would you expect? It's made for off-road. Why would it be an accomplished road car as well? Well, they did manage it with the Freelander 2, didn't they? Let's talk about the engine and gearbox. I used to own a Freelander 1, but the first, the pre-facelift Freelander 1 with a 1.8 K-series engine. And I would say, quite controversially here possibly, that I like that better. I mean, this is the kind of car that does need a diesel engine. It's the kind of car that you would use for tugging things around. But you want a diesel engine for that. You want a diesel engine because it's tall. You need the torque. It's heavy. It's the kind of shape that doesn't want to be pushed through the air by a petrol engine. But with the 1.8 petrol engine, it was fun to drive. It was very slow. It was very uneconomical, of course, because as I said, this shape is a bit like trying to sew a button on your shirt whilst tagging an elephant at the time. The diesel gives you the grunt, gives you the torque, but it takes away the finesse of the chassis. And yes, I did say that correctly whilst talking about a Freelander. But with the 1.8 engine, that car did remind me of what they said the Toyota RAV4 was supposed to be like. And I've never driven a RAV4, and I'd quite like to do. And a Honda CR-V, and all of these I'd like to drive. You know what? Well, I would do. Of course I would. I want to know what everything's like. So, right, back to the finesse of the chassis. I don't think this has the chassis to handle the diesel power that well. And that's not the power, but the weight. All of that weight of the diesel engine. Now, the M47 engine is renowned as being a very good, even a bit underpowered engine. And underpowered it certainly is. It doesn't have very much get up and go at all. It has all of the enthusiasm to get up and go of an emo at breakfast time when they've been up all night. And one thing I'm definitely not going to chance any further is the amount of fuel that's left in this. The amount of fuel this car goes through is a bit unforgivable. That's something else I don't like. The fuel filler cap is, well, you use the key to undo it. It's no flap, it's just a cap, and it's shaped to the side of the car. So when you put it back in, you put it in wrong, and you end up with dirt everywhere. And you know, it's just it only goes in one particular way, and it just felt a bit awkward then. Back to the issue of the power of the M47 engine in this car. I'm going to have to backtrack on that because actually it's a bit of a stupid argument to say that it's not very powerful, it's not quick. Why does it need to be quick? It's not the kind of thing that you want to drive quickly. It's not made for hitting corners hard or for doing any of these kind of things that other cars are. So I'm sorry, I take that one back. Thank you. Road noise, on the other hand, don't like it. The engine itself is quiet. I mean, it's either that or, you know, I think it's quiet because I'm deaf. But the road noise, I can definitely hear that quite a lot. So it can't be because I'm deaf. Otherwise, I won't be able to hear that either. Therefore, it does have too much road noise, and the engine is quiet. You'd think speed bumps wouldn't be a problem. Well, they're still not nice, are they? It doesn't matter what you're driving. And now we're back to power again because, well, give it a really steep hill and it just bogs down. Second gear, back into third. Will it go this time? Actually, yeah. Right, I'll retract that one because it started bogging down, but now it's not doing. It doesn't want to do fourth though. I think this car looks really good in silver after all, actually. Getting back to fuel economy though, and range anxiety. Yes, you can have that with a petrol or diesel as well, because there is such a thing as running out of fuel nowhere near a fuel station. And I'm just glad I did actually go and put a tenner's worth of diesel in this then, because it's now back down to a quarter of a tank. I probably used up that £10 worth of diesel just going up that hill. There's only about 5 miles away. It read a quarter of a tank. Then at the top of the hill it read an eighth of a tank. Now I've come down the other side of the hill, I was expecting it to correct itself, but it hasn't. It's still saying an eighth of a tank. Did I ever mention the build quality of this car? Well, do you know what? It's not bad really. I mean, the plastics around the dash are a bit hard and scrapey, but they're solid. They're not rattling. The buttons everywhere, they're all okay. You know, everything's okay. Yeah, that's the. Oh right, yeah, okay. What do we think of this car? It's okay. It is okay. I quite like it. And the seat is very comfortable, and that's a very important redeeming feature, because of all of the interior bits, that is important. Forget about the car, but forget about how good the dash feels. You want the seat to be comfortable, don't you? Yes, you do. Because there's always a possibility that you will be going on a long journey at some point. And whilst on that long journey, suffering with the road noise and the less than impeccable road manners, at least you'll have somewhere lovely and comfortable to sit, which is a great feature. And to sum things up, I've got to say, I am actually enjoying driving this. It's nice. Although it has that heavy diesel engine, it still feels happy to drive. It still has an element of fun about it. It still feels quirky and different and just likeable. And amongst a raft of things I'm not impressed with on this car, the one thing that does impress me is it still has that one thing you can't quite put your finger on that makes Rover so likeable. And of course, Land Rover was invented by Rover, for those that don't know. If I was to be test driving this properly, I would be going off the road here and into that field. And that's something that happens quite a lot with these Freelanders, usually because the driver has taken their hands off the wheel to do something a little bit more important. But I'm not going to take it off the road because, well, it's not my car and I don't want to get stuck. I don't want to get it dirty either. And that's the point of having an off-road these days, is just to be something big and imposing, not to be an off-road vehicle. So now, to finish off with, a series of questions from me to me. And the first question is, would I have one? And the answer is yes, I would have. I'd even have one in this colour and this trim. I prefer the 3-door really because they're a bit more groovy looking, but I don't think they did them in the facelift. That's what I thought, right up until 5 minutes ago when I saw one coming the other way. Would I use it for off-roading? No. And I'd keep it clean as well. I would do exactly what it's not really built for. Just drive it on the road, keep it clean. Going off point. I'd like it for towing, yes. But then, you know, if I want to tow, and I will do, I would like a trailer so I can cart cars about with. I'd be better off with a Discovery. So that's what I should get, Discovery. And if I want a car for that particular purpose, I would be better off with a Shogun or a Toyota Land Cruiser. So now I'm stuck, aren't I? Gosh, I've really tied myself into a problem here. I really would like this car, but I wouldn't like it because there were better cars. I could only justify having one of these if it had a job other than going off-road. And that job would be done much better by a different vehicle. So there's your answer. Thank you and goodbye. One last thing. This vehicle has 5 electric windows. Yes, because the tailgate window drops right the way down, which is brilliant. That's one of the unique features about this car that makes me want one. A bit more than I did a couple of minutes ago when I decided I didn't want one. Yeah. You can have the back window open and the front window open for the ultimate airflow when it comes to summertime cool. And it's just cool. I mean, it's a bit of a hazard if you've got a dog in the back. It's a perfectly big window for the dog just to be able to jump straight out of the back of, or you know, for somebody to just jump straight into. But besides that, what a fantastic idea. And that's one of those features that makes me prefer the Freelander 1 to the Freelander 2. The Freelander 2 just has a hatchback like everything else. Why do so many people get brain mixed up with fog? What's wrong with you? That's not just one, but 2 of you. 3 of you. There's another one over there.